Vox Day, Streamlabs All-Star, and of course, original Gamergate member. Welcome to the Darkstream. Forgot to turn the cover on. There we go. Give us our theme. Here we go again. Q is dead. Whatever shall we do? For those of you who don't recognize what Q is dead is in reference to, this is, of course, a reference to the coordinated media assault on Gamergate that took place when I believe it was 23 members of Game Journal Pros arranged to simultaneously or near simultaneously publish articles claiming that gamers were dead. If you see a lot of these death images, you see them in a lot of Gamergate things. It's constantly showing skeletons and zombies and all this kind of stuff. The reason is because it is the mocking response of Gamergate and Gamergaters to the game journalists. The ride never ends is another phrase that you'll often hear. This is all a demonstration of the contempt for what for what the media says. It demonstrates a contempt for the media. And it's a well-deserved contempt, because what they're trying to do is they're desperately trying to create a false narrative and get everybody to accept it. And a lot of people do accept it. And the problem is that you're going to see other things that the media tried to do in their attack on Gamergate, and you're going to see them in their response to what's happening with Q. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole idea about who Q is. People are all concerned about, well, is it real? Is it legitimate, etc., etc. As I've stated before, that's irrelevant. That's like getting into a debate over is Gamergate really about ethics in game journalism? Okay, if you're asking that question, then you are not actually paying much attention to what the real issues are. And so, oh good, we've got some of the alt-retards showing up. Let's just go ahead and get rid of them. Anyhow, to get back to the subject at hand, which is Q and the media campaign against him, let me read you a few of the recent media comments about Q. This is all taken from Neon Revolt's post on Mockingbird Overdrive. And he's absolutely right when he said the Mockingbirds have been working overtime today. We are Q. A deranged conspiracy cult leaps from the internet to the crowd at Trump's MAGA tour. The Washington Post. It says, the audience at Trump's rally Tuesday was awash with signs and t-shirts bearing the letter Q, which refers to the leader of an online conspiracy involving Satanism, pedophilia, and Jews. Now notice that they're always trying to anoint someone as the leader in order to try to take down the whole thing by disqualifying the leader. That's why Gamergate obviously appointed me as the leader. That's why Comicsgate, of course, has appointed Ethan Van Sciver as the leader. And if you've seen the I am the leader of Comicsgate video, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. There is no leader of Comicsgate. There was no leader of Gamergate. We all knew better because we all knew exactly what the media was trying to do. They try to elevate a leader so they can knock him down and thereby disqualify the entire movement. So, what is QAnon? Explaining the bizarre right-wing conspiracy theory. That's The Guardian. It says, the sprawling internet theory, beloved by Trump supporters, has ensnared everyone from Tom Hanks to Hillary Clinton. Well, what do they mean by ensnared? Well, there are a lot of reports and rumors about the fact that Tom Hanks is not quite as a squeaky clean, nice guy as he is supposed to be. QAnon, the alternate reality that was front and center at Trump's rally. A look at the online conspiracy theory that reared its head at last night's Trump rally. Perspective. This is a second article from the Washington Post. You always know you're over the target when you see multiple posts on the same day trying to attack the legitimacy of something. You know, this is something that Gamergate understood. If the enemy is shooting at you, you're going the right way. They don't want you to go that way. They're trying to get you to stop going that way. You know, you're jeopardizing the narrative. Perspective. As the bizarre QAnon group emerges, Trump rallies go from nasty to dangerous. The president must discourage anti-press aggression before it's too late. But, of course, he won't. See, this is actually where things are getting a little bit dangerous themselves. Remember, SJWs always project. We'll get to that in a minute. But this has happened again and again. We've seen it happen in Gamergate. We saw it happen with Pizzagate. It's going to happen in QAnon, too. As QAnon goes mainstream, Trump's rallies are turning darker. Under Trump, conspiracy theories and an all-out assault on the truth have created a strange new reality. This is Rolling Stone. I wonder who did this Rolling Stone piece, because that's sounding pretty familiar. Nope, it's not the reporter who's been trying to stalk Castelia House and all the right-wing, all the Comicsgate folks over the past few months. And then there's one from the Daily Mail Online. Fans of bizarre QAnon cult show up in droves at Trump rally. The online conspiracy theorists are moving from the internet to the campaign trail. Think Progress, of course, gets even more out there. Unhinged conservative conspiracy theory goes mainstream at Trump's Tampa rally. QAnon has arrived. Welcome to the hellscape. One from Newsweek. QAnon. Conspiracy theorists determined to expose a deep state child abuse ring show up to support Trump in Tampa. You know, oh no. You know, what a horrible thing to do. They're trying to stop child abuse. I mean, do these guys even realize how incredibly bad their narrative is? Trump's Tampa rally was full of insane conspiracy theorists. So they're actually able to diagnose the mental health of people because of t-shirts and signs they're wearing. That's an interesting concept. This one's a little bit more sober. Trump rally attendee holds up sign linked to conspiracy theory. Okay. YouTube under fire for allowing conspiracy theories on A-list celebrities and public figures. So what, YouTube is like just supposed to publish, you know, these People magazine suck up lies that we all know are completely untrue about, you know, how wonderful the Kardashians are and how all Hollywood stars are, nice to children and puppies. CNN, how a right-wing conspiracy theory is going mainstream. MSNBC's Haley Jackson holds insane segment on QAnon conspiracy theories. Pizzagate on bath salts. I mean, this is all in the last day or two. You know, this is exactly what we saw in Gamergate. This is exactly the same sort of thing that we saw with the whole gamers are dead thing. And so they are desperate to delegitimize Q. And they are going to completely fail. They're going to absolutely fail in this. But here's what's going to happen next. What's going to happen next is there's going to be some bullshit false flag. There's going to be some nonsense akin to Anita Sarkeesian claiming that she got death threats, and Brianna Wu claiming that he was driven from his house by death threats. In the case of Pizzagate, they hired an actual actor to go into this pizza place with a rifle and shoot one bullet into the floor, which then magically hit the computer and destroyed the hard drive. I mean, this is the dumbest narrative, and yet they roll it out again and again and again. I guarantee you there's going to be some stupid false flag about some fake Q supporter, accosting or otherwise endangering or jeopardizing a Hollywood celebrity. And when once the story gets dug into a bit, it's going to turn out that the supposed Q supporter is going to be just another, left-wing nobody who got brought in order to delegitimize the Q stuff. So he said, yeah, Tom Hanks was driven to fear for his life from insane Trump fanatics. It's going to be that, except for it's not just going to be Trump fanatics. It's going to be dangerous Q cultists. And the thing is that you have to remember what they do, because then you start to recognize the pattern when they do it again and again and again. This is the same thing as Game Journal Pros, and you're going to see the same narratives in the same order. With Gamergate, they actually had a Law and Order episode. I think it was Law and Order. And it was just hilarious to see how they were talking about a Gamergator had kidnapped a woman because gamers hate woman players. I mean, it was the most retarded narrative you can imagine. And they actually made an entire TV episode about it. And so, somebody said, one viewer watching, they throttling you, Vox. No, they're not. I mean, I see 175 viewers, and that's pretty normal. So, anyhow, here's how we responded to it. And here's how I would encourage those who are following Q to respond to it. In fact, I actually got called out by this guy defending the pro pedo people. It's a writer on Talkie Mag named David Cole, and he was making up all this ridiculous nonsense about how I was claiming that he was covering for pedos because he's a Jew and all this sort of thing. I don't know a damn thing about him. I didn't know he was a Jew. I don't know. I didn't pay any attention to this stuff. The point is that he was trying to claim that if people can't joke about molesting children, then this is a threat to the First Amendment and all this other thing. And it was just totally ridiculous. And the thing is that he was trying to like pull out the whole. He actually made references to ancient cabals and pedophile rings, which made me laugh, because this is something he claimed that was related to Q, And yet here's a meme from Gamergate in 2015. Fucking Gamergate, man. I just fucking wanted to play video games, and here I am, rooting out ancient one-world government cabals and pedophilia rings. What the actual fuck? You know? And this is why they still hate and fear Gamergate so much, is because Gamergate showed everyone how to defeat the media narrative. You know, here's another one that I liked. I just wanted to play some fucking video games. You know, and it's true. You know, nobody in Gamergate was looking for a war with the media. You know, we weren't looking to take down Gawker at the time. How do you know it was from 2015? Because I've had it on my computer since 2015. I mean, maybe it's older. Can't be much older, though. Oh, good. We've got a Spurg. Is there a timestamp? Give it up, dude. And then here's another good one. I like this one, too. This was, you know, in direct response to the whole gamers are dead thing. Even in death, we still serve Gamergate. So, you know, I would recommend that you read up on the true history of Gamergate, and that you learn from the way that we handled the media pressure then. You know, don't worry. You know, all this stuff. See, here's the thing: is Q true? It doesn't matter. Whether Q is true or not, it is useful. Is Pizzagate real in your opinion box? I think that it is probably true in its essence. It is definitely false to claim that it was debunked. And the fact that the media went to so much trouble to come up with such a ridiculously false narrative tends to indicate that there is probably an amount of fire there. But we don't know for sure, you know. But here's the thing. Just because we don't know what the actual truth is, doesn't mean that we don't know that there is a reason to look deeper into it. You know, I don't believe anything the mainstream media says. That's the one thing we know is not true. You know, if the media says that that Pizzagate is debunked, you know it's not. You know, there is literally nothing they say that you can trust or take at face value. So, you know, so the thing is, we see through a glass darkly. We are told this. We know this, right? And so we don't see the whole truth. We can't know. We can't possibly know the whole truth. But the important thing is that when we know people are liars, then we know not to trust them. Q has said some things that have turned out to be true. Crazy Days and Nights has said some things that have turned out to be true. So these are things that should be taken more seriously than the Washington Post. You know, the Washington Post is lying. There is no cult. Nobody's insane. You know, they are blatantly lying from the headline of the article to the last sentence in the piece. If you read David Cole's piece about me, it's totally false. Everything he says about me there is false. You know, he was describing me as a failed garage band musician. my band has 4 Billboard Top 40 Club Charts hits. We beat out Prince for a Minnesota Music Award. Our music's been featured in multiple movies, multiple video games. The guys from the band are now, established, doing film soundtracks, video game soundtracks, etc., etc. And he tries to dismiss that as failed garage music. Okay, so what do you know already? The guy is an absolute liar. And if he's lying about me, then he's probably lying about the innocence of the pedo jokes. Liars always lie. SJWs always project. And so they have a reason to be lying. We don't know for sure what the reason is, but we have some suspicions, and we have reason to disbelieve their protestations of innocence. So let's see here. Let's go ahead and take some questions. Somebody says, yeah, failed is always the word they use. Again, it's projection. They're failures themselves, and so they think calling you a failure is somehow going to demoralize you or something. Which, I don't care. It makes no difference what they happen to say. It doesn't change anything. Let's see here. There's a demand for the truth, so these controlled opposition outlets are being promoted to satisfy and mislead at the same time. That's exactly right. That's why you see Ben Shapiro is actually being pushed by Alexa and Amazon. Jordan Peterson is being pushed all over the place. All of these guys that are being pushed by the left are being pushed by the left for a reason. They're being pushed in order to try to guide you away from the truth. Do you have a Russian translation of SJWs Always Lie? No, we don't. We do, however, have a Russian translation of Dangerous, though, which we have to actually get out there at some point in time. Is the right's adoration for Chris Pratt well-founded? No. Is it designed from Hollywood, an actor playing a sympathetic Christian? Perhaps, but the right is always desperate to fall in love with some celebrity or another. Pratt looked like a good guy for a while. Since he left his wife, he doesn't look so good anymore. But, it's like people have said, if you're a big success in Hollywood, there's a very good chance that you're compromised morally and spiritually. Will America realize a new religious awakening? I believe it will. I don't know if it will come in time to prevent what I expect to be the eventual breakup of the USA. I hope it will. But and I do see that there are more and more people who seem to be seeking the truth and seeing through the narrative, but whether that's enough, I don't know. What is the thing you have said, Q, say that you want to be true that you aren't sure about? I'm not sure about any of it. I don't know. I live in Europe. For all I know, they could already have full military occupation of the entire East Coast, and I would have no idea. So, we shouldn't worry as much as in the past about being derailed by false flags and other things. No, that's the whole point. Is just ignore that shit. All those things are attempts to demoralize, distract, and disqualify. Who cares what some actor does? Period. Let's say that everything that was claimed about Pizzagate was true. Absolutely everything. How would the action of any actor, however big, however minor, alter that? Some guy drives up and fires a bullet at a pizza place. This somehow transforms history? You know, what is that supposed to prove? It proves nothing. Either way. You know, could be true, could be false. Crazy people do crazy shit all the time. You know, you can probably go down to, you know, San Francisco and find 100 people doing crazy things, none of which would disprove anything about history. You know, it wouldn't disprove the American Revolution. It wouldn't disprove Gamergate. It wouldn't disprove World War I. It wouldn't disprove the sinking of the Titanic. What does one crazy guy doing something have to do with anything? It has nothing to do with anything. Is this the Bill Crystal 2020 chat forum? Yes! Bill Crystal 2020. Let's see it happen. Crystal Slide 2020. I don't know. I think we should call it Crystal Nacht 2020. Look into the pic Q posted in November. He posted the next image in sequence a month or two ago, proving it's the same posting all along. I don't know if I'd go that far. Do you have a reading list, history, economy posted somewhere? Yes, you can actually go to the Castelia Direct bookstore, and there's a list called History Collection. That's a place to get started. It seems like the globalist power structure is based on blackmail. That's why they want pedos and weird cultists in power. Yeah, it kind of does tend to look that way because, you know, you've really got a lot of not terribly impressive intellects in positions of power, regardless of what it is. You know, I mean, we're clearly not getting the best and brightest running anything these days. Let's see here. Is reality going to be Star Trek-like in 40 years? I certainly hope and pray not. Star Trek is like the pedophile's dream. So, you know, I mean, Star Trek is absolutely insane in every way, shape, or form. It is not a utopia. It is a complete dystopia. And, you know, if you really like Star Trek, there's quite possibly something very wrong with you. Owen Benjamin was the Prince of Hollywood a few years ago. He drew the line at normalizing child abuse and was instantly ostracized. I'm not surprised. Hollywood is the epicenter of immorality in the United States. It has been for decades. You know, as bad as things get everywhere else, it's always going to be worse there. Final debate, Jeb Bush Republican versus Bill Kristol Independent. Yeah, that should, you know, if people are having a tough time falling asleep, that should do it. I do rightist paintings. What's the best way to show them to you? Create an online gallery and email me a link. Red wave in November, blue wave. I think that it is going to be a much stronger Republican performance than people are expecting. There will be no blue wave. I don't think that it will be a full God Emperor's blood tide until 2020. But there's not going to be a blue wave. Someone said Star Trek is the pedophile's dream. Never heard that one before. Actually, if you do a little reading on it, what you'll see is that the police often talk about how they always find Star Trek stuff whenever they end up arresting a pedophile. Some cops in California said that in over 100 arrests, there was precisely one where the guy was not a Trekkie of some sort. What do you think of all the money being poured into CRTV? Nothing, because I've never heard of it and I don't watch it. Let's see. Somebody's asking, they were asking about what I think about Jordan Peterson's health. I honestly, much to perhaps to the surprise of people who have read my critiques of him, and the fact that we have a Voxiversity on him coming out soon, I spend literally no time thinking about Jordan Peterson. I'm way too busy working on things like the new Soda Pop Soldier, Rebel Dead Revenge, Alt Hero number 3, which is coming out very soon. What do I think Trump's strongest moment this year has been? That's a great question. There's so many to choose from, it's hard to say. But I think that it's got to be the meeting with Kim Jong-il. Second after that is the fact that he went and met with Putin, despite the fact that practically everyone throwing fits trying to stop him from doing so. I love my cousin. She is hot. Buy my book, bucko. Yeah, it's so funny because you can always tell that Peterson fans haven't really read much that he's written because they don't realize what a total fucking lunatic he is. Let's see here. See, he's threatening shutdown over the wall. Yeah, the one thing that I would like, the one thing that I would like to see Trump do is to follow through on some of these threats. Once you threaten something, especially when it's that public, you shouldn't back down. He said he was going to shut it down, and all of a sudden, the military is so important. Well, that's bullshit. That's the same bullshit that the same bullshit that the Republicans have been doing for years. Oh, we're going to shut it down, and they tuck tail and cringe the moment that the first park gets shut down. It's ridiculous. People see through that stuff. They've seen it a million times. If you're going to shut things down, shut the damn thing down. Build the damn wall. It's not that hard. Would you bet money right now on Trump 2020? We have been selling Trump Slide 2020 shirts since the 2016 election. I have said from the beginning that Trump is going to win. He is going to win big. And it's not even going to be close in 2020. I've said this for 2 years, and I have seen absolutely no reason whatsoever to take a single step back on that prediction. I was a huge fan of Peterson until I realized his long lecture series ended with literally nothing. He had no conclusion. No, he doesn't, because he's an incoherent, disordered mind. When he is talking, he's literally just trying to sort things out for himself. Jordan Peterson's entire lecture, his entire communication is a monologue directed at himself. When he's saying clean your room and take your drugs, he is talking to himself in the same way that Google was talking to themselves when they were reminding themselves to not be evil. Everybody thought that Google was saying this to other people, saying, you don't be evil. But they weren't. Google was actually more in the position of some homeless guy with a knife wandering through the night going, don't be evil, don't be evil, don't be evil. Peterson is a total frickin' whack job. He's crazy. He's disordered. He's incoherent. And so he's basically wandering around saying, okay, Jordan, Clean your room, Jordan. Take your medicine, Jordan. Jordan, you're worthy. You're not a crazy guy who wants to kill and eat his hot cousin. Just clean your room. I mean, Jordan Peterson is terrified of himself. He's terrified of everything. That's why he has a Messiah complex, because he thinks that he is going to prevent World War III by preventing the young men of the West from becoming nationalists. It's totally insane. The guy is crazy. So you say whack job, I say easy to relate to. Well, there's a lot of mentally unstable people out there. So, anyhow, let's see here. Stefan Molyneux and Lauren Southern had one Australian TV appearance together on the Bolt Report, where Stefan talked about race and IQ. All the other TV people would only talk to Lauren after that. That's funny. Do you have to go back? Also apply to European immigrants who came after 1965? I mean, ideally, if you want to get the USA back, but it's not up to me. I mean, here's the thing: people keep asking me about this, that, and the other thing. It's not up to me. The people who are going to make these decisions are the people who are going to be on the ground. And it wasn't some intellectual somewhere who decided how the Serbs and the Croats and the Bosnians were going to get along. It was the people on the ground. I'm just analyzing this stuff. I'm just observing this stuff. I can't tell anyone exactly what they should think. See, here's the bullshit thing. Jordan Peterson also speaks sense. No, he doesn't. He doesn't speak any sense at all. He occasionally says very obvious things scattered in the midst of all the nonsense. He hasn't woke a good lot of people up. He has intentionally tried to mislead them. It's just absolutely ludicrous. Do you pay any attention to YouTube analytics? Not really. Is traffic increasing steadily? Well, there's 260 viewers here, and it wasn't that long ago that there was 50, so I assume that's a good sign. So, worst book you've read this year? I haven't really read any bad books this year that I can think of. I do a pretty good job of avoiding reading bad books these days. So I don't know. Anyhow, the thing that you need to keep in mind is that people either point you towards the truth or they point you away from the truth. That's about it. And so, if somebody is openly lying, that's all you need to know to stop listening to them altogether. If someone is going to lie to you about those things, if they can't even bother to just keep their mouth shut, but they're going to actually lie to you, then they can't be trusted. So, is save the boars good rhetoric? No, people will think you're talking about pigs. What would it take for you to return your family to the U.S.? It won't ever happen. They jailed my father. I'm gone. It wasn't so much that he got punished for tax stuff. it was the fact that he was jailed for, I think, a total of, 15 years for relatively petty stuff and some very dishonest stuff. I don't want a damn thing to do with that place ever again. You know, so, you know, and that's not just true of me. You know, and so, you know, it's not something that I talk about. It's not something that I go into, but, you know, and I'm very proud of my dad. You know, he has freed people from over 10,000 collective, no, sorry, over 1,200 collected years of prison. People who have been wrongfully convicted. And so, you know, that's, I don't have any problem with Americans. They didn't do it, you know, but the system did, and I just don't want anything to do with that anymore. Let's see. You often criticize U.S. police for being violent. How much of that is probably due to dealing with the black population? Very little. It is mostly has to do with them being unaccountable. So, you know, it's not like the U.S. police are only acting like that in Baltimore or populations like that. And here's a good question, then we'll call it an evening. Is Spain screwed, or can they save themselves? Try to remember that Spain was completely conquered by Islam for over 500 years. They managed to completely restore the country, completely cleanse it of all Muslims and Jews, and then built the most powerful empire in the world. So I don't think that you can ever count out a people just because they happen to be defeated, just because they happen to be occupied. Look at the Jews themselves. You know, the Jews lost their land, were exiled for nearly 2,000 years, and, you know, yet they have Jerusalem back again. You know, wouldn't you have counted them out most of that time? You know, so anyhow, don't despair, don't fear. You know, as we like to say, all we need are 12. And as David said, you know, if God is on my side, then who can stand against me? So have a good evening, and remember, the ride never ends.